The child who knocked 3 times in a quiet village near the foot of Mount Banahaw. There stands an abandoned school, no signs, no guards, no reason to enter. And yet every now and then someone hears the bell ring long after midnight, a bell that no longer hangs above the door. Locals avoid it. Children are told to never play near the rusted gates, because many years ago a boy disappeared during class, walked out during recess, and never came back. Not a sound, not a scream, just silence. His name was Tomas. 5 years old, always wore the same red sweater, always carried a small bear missing one eye. The teachers thought he had wandered into the woods. They searched for days, until a rainstorm washed away the tracks, and the town decided it was better not to speak of it again. But strange things started after that. First came the knocking, always 3 soft taps at the doors of houses near the school, always around 3 in the morning, always followed by a small wet footprint left on the wooden floor. Then came the laughter. Not loud, not playful, just a dry, breathy sound like a child trying to remember how to laugh. Lena was a college student, staying at her aunt's house next to the old school. She didn't believe the stories, thought they were invented to scare kids away from trespassing. One night while studying late, she heard 3 knocks at the door, soft like fingers made of cotton. She opened it. No one was there, but on the step was a small stuffed bear, soaked and torn, one eye missing. She asked her aunt, who only said, "Close all the windows tonight and don't answer if you hear anything else." The next night, the knocking came again. 3 taps, this time at the bedroom window on the 2nd floor where no one could reach. Lena peeked through the curtain, saw nothing. But in the corner of her room the bear had returned, now dry, and placed carefully on her pillow. She tried to throw it away, but every morning it reappeared closer to her bed, once even tucked under her blanket. One night, she woke up and saw him standing near the foot of her bed, small, thin, face pale, eyes empty, skin gray with streaks of dirt, his red sweater clinging to his shoulders, wet without rain. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared and whispered, "You saw me, didn't you? Now you have to help me. Leave." Lena screamed. The house shook, all the lights burst. And when her aunt rushed in, the boy was gone. But the bear was still there, now resting in her hands. They called an albulario, who placed salt in every corner, burned herbs, and whispered prayers over the toy. But nothing worked, so they returned to the school. Together brought the bear to the room where Tomas once sat, placed it gently on the chair near the window, and lit a candle. The wind howled, a single bell rang once, then nothing since then. No one has heard the knocking, no child has gone missing, no bear has appeared. But the chair in that room still rocks slowly every night. And sometimes when the wind is quiet, you can hear small footsteps echo down the hallway, and a soft whisper asking, "Do you see me now?" The child who sang under the floor. There's an old house near the rice fields of Tarlac, quiet, abandoned, hidden by tall grass and banana trees, where the floorboards creak even without footsteps, where at night a soft voice can sometimes be heard humming a lullaby. No one remembers learning it. Used to be a family home, simple, peaceful, until one rainy season when the river swelled and flooded the land. A child went missing during the storm. Her name was Alling. She was 6, always barefoot, always singing too. Herself, while playing with dolls made of corn husk, the flood passed. But the child was never found. The family left the house and never returned. And people began to whisper about the voice that sings when the wind is still. Years later, a man named Ephraim moved into the house alone, hoping for quiet peace and distance from city life. He repaired the roof, fixed the walls, cleaned the rooms, but never touched the floor. Every night he heard humming under the wooden planks, not loud, not sad, just soft like a child. Trying to sing through water, he thought it was his imagination until one night while trying to sleep, he felt something shift beneath his bed like a hand brushing the underside of the floor. Then came 3 knocks slow and hollow, followed by that same melody. He asked the neighbors about the house, but they only looked away. One of them whispered, "Kung marinig mo ang kanta huwag, kang sumagit huwag, mong tapusin, ang himig kahit nasa isip, mo lang." But the next night Ephraim found himself humming without realizing, the tune flowing from his lips perfectly matching the one beneath the floor. And when he stopped, the singing paused too, as if the voice was waiting for him to continue. He tried to leave, packed his bags, stepped outside. But the fields were drowned in fog, and no path led away from the house, only back to the door. That night, he dreamt of a girl, standing in the corner of his room, hair soaked, skin pale, eyes wide, open mouth, slowly moving with the same song. She pointed at the floor beneath his bed, where water began to seep up. Through the wood Ephraim woke, gasping. The boards wet, the air heavy, and the humming louder this time, closer. He tore the boards open with his hands, mud spilling upward, revealing old bones, small and curled, holding a corn-husk doll still smiling with no eyes. He buried her outside under a mango tree, lit a candle, said a prayer he barely remembered. And as the flame danced, he heard the lullaby one last time, drifting into the wind. The next morning, the floor was dry, the humming gone, and the doll never returned. But sometimes those who walk by the old house swear they hear a tune echo from the walls and feel the ground shake gently like a child rolling beneath the boards, waiting for someone to sing with her again. The child in the mirror in a boarding house deep within the old district of San Pablo. There is one room no one stays in for long, room 9, quiet, dim, always cold, even at noon. The mirror inside is fixed to the wall and covered with a white cloth. No matter who rents the room, no one is allowed to remove it. They say the mirror doesn't show your reflection, it shows hers, a child with short hair and a white dress, standing just behind you. No matter where you stand, her name was Malaya, a tenant's daughter left alone. Too often, while her mother worked long shifts downstairs, she would play with dolls, line them up in front of the mirror, and talk to them as if they were answering back. One night, the mother found her lying motionless on the floor, eyes wide open, hands frozen, as if still holding a doll, her breath shallow. Then, gone, the mirror was cracked at the corner, and her dolls were missing, only their heads left in a circle around her body. No one stayed in the room after that, but the mirror remained. Years later, a student named Rika moved in, unaware of the story. She was told not to remove the cloth, but curiosity grew. The first night, nothing happened. The second night, she dreamed of someone breathing behind her in the dark on the third night. She lifted the cloth, saw her own face pale. Then behind it, the face of a small girl, eyes black mouth, slightly open. She turned, no one there. She blinked. The girl in the mirror was closer, now standing shoulder to shoulder and smiling. Without teeth, Rika covered the mirror, tried to leave the room, but the door would not open, and the lights began to flicker one by one. A child's voice whispered, "Stay with me. I am not done playing yet." That night, she scratched at the door until morning, when the landlady found her curled in the corner, muttering the same phrase over and over. "She's not in the mirror anymore, she's in the room." Since then, room 9 stays locked. But every now and then guests on the second floor say they hear knocking from the inside and soft laughter echoing through the halls. Some say, if you pass the door at exactly 3:20 in the morning and look into the doorknob's reflection, you'll see her watching from the other side, waiting for someone else to look too long. The child who waited in the rain in a small coastal town in Quezon, where the rain never fully stops, and the streets shine with puddles even when the sky is clear. There's a corner near the old church where people walk faster without knowing why, as if something cold follows their steps just out of reach. The old people say a child once stood there waiting for her mother on the night of a storm. Small girl, 5 or 6, holding a pink umbrella, crying softly. No one stopped, no one looked, because the lightning scared them. And the wind howled like an animal. They found her the next morning, floating in the canal, eyes open, umbrella torn in half, dress wrapped around her legs like seaweed. Since then, when the skies darken and the rain returns, people claim they see her again, always alone, always silent, always looking up, as if waiting to be called. Jammer, a tricycle driver, saw her one night around 10, barely raining. He was headed home, empty seat, headlights cutting through the mist. And there she was standing by the lamppost, drenched. Unmoving hair stuck to her cheeks, face hidden behind shadows. He slowed down, thinking she was lost. She didn't look at him, didn't react, just lifted a broken umbrella. As if to say she was fine, he blinked. And she was gone. When he got home, his shirt was soaked, though he hadn't stepped into the rain. And on the passenger seat was a wet handprint, too small, too real. He told his wife. She told him never stop for children alone in the rain, never talk to them, never look too long, because they're not lost, they're left behind. The next week, another driver picked up a little girl who didn't speak, gave him directions to a street that didn't exist. And by the time he realized the road was wrong, the girl was gone, only water left on the floor and a faint whisper, "I am still waiting." She said she would come back. Now drivers speed past the old corner, never stop during storms. And if they see a pink umbrella, they pray and keep driving, eyes forward, heart pounding. Because once you see her, she follows, not to hurt, not to scream, just to wait beside you until the rain stops. But the rain never really stops in that town, and some umbrellas never really close. The child who sat in the empty chair, there's a house in Pampanga where no one moves the wooden chair near the dining table. It's old, carved deep into the floor, as if it belongs more to the house than to the people living in it. The chair is never used, never dusted, never cleaned. And when asked why the family only says it's already taken, they say, "A child once lived there, a boy no older than 7, quiet, pale, eyes too big for his face, always sitting in that chair, while everyone else ate, never speaking, never reaching. For food, just sitting and watching. One day he was gone, no goodbye, no sound, no trace, and the chair was left untouched. Since then every family who lived in that house kept the chair, as it was some tried to remove it. One man burned his hand just by touching the armrest. Another said the chair moved back on its own, scraping across the floor slowly in the middle of the night. The current owner, Cecile, lived there with her daughter, Anna, who often spoke to someone when no one else was around, sitting across that same chair, offering snacks, laughing, and once whispering. "He said he likes you." Cecile asked who she was talking to, and Anna simply said, "The boy who doesn't eat." She thought it was just imagination until one night when she walked past the dining room and saw the chair turned slightly facing the hallway and Anna's toys arranged neatly around its legs. Then came the tapping, soft at first, then louder, like a child kicking the underside of the table. She removed the toys, turned the chair back, but it returned to its original place every morning. Then came the drawings Anna scribbled with a black crayon, never colored, always showing the same thing: the dining table, the chairs, the window, and one child drawn without a face, always sitting in the same spot. One night the dog barked toward the chair, refused to enter the room, and when Cecile checked, she saw the chair rocking slowly with no wind, no footsteps, no breeze. Just creaking, like someone had just stood up or just sat down. She took her daughter and left the house that night. They never returned. But when movers came days later, they found the furniture covered in dust, except for the chair, which remained polished, spotless, perfectly clean, as if someone had never stopped sitting there. Now those who pass by the abandoned house sometimes see a flicker of movement through the window, just the shadow of a small boy sitting still, staring, waiting for dinner to be served. The child who left her shoes in a small barangay near Baguio, where fog hugs the ground and pine needles coat the earth. There is a forgotten path behind the cemetery, not wide, not paved, just dirt and silence, and the faint sound of leaves brushing against each other like whispered warnings. They say a little girl once lived at the end of that trail. Her name was Lyra, 7 years old, always wearing mismatched socks and tiny red shoes, the kind that squeaked when she ran. She disappeared one afternoon, chasing a puppy into the woods. They found the dog near the stream, shivering wet, but Lyra was never seen again. Only her shoes remained, one upright, one on its side, both dry, both warm, both untouched by mud. Even after the rain, after that, those who passed by the path began finding small footprints behind them, soft impressions that faded quickly, even when they walked alone. Even when the soil was dry at night, the wind would carry a soft voice, humming a nursery rhyme, unfamiliar, but oddly calming. Then the squeak of shoes. Running just out of sight, a man named Carlo, a carpenter new to the area, took that path one night, thinking it was a shortcut to the highway. The fog thickened quickly, too quickly, and the air turned cold, not sharp, not biting, just still like breath held too long. He heard the humming behind him, steady, faint, childlike, followed by the faint squeak, squeak, squeak. He turned, saw nothing, walked faster, the sound kept pace. He stopped the sound, stopped, then a whisper near his ear, "You took my way home." He ran, didn't look. Back, reached the road without understanding how. But when he got home, he found small wet footprints on the wooden floor leading to the kitchen. And on the doormat, 2 red shoes perfectly placed side by side pointing toward the door. He threw them out. But they returned the next day and the next until he brought them back to the forest and left them under a pine tree. The humming stopped, but sometimes hikers still find those shoes left gently on the path, dry even in the rain. And if they take a different trail, they'll hear nothing, but if they walk the same way Lyra once did, they'll feel her behind them, not angry, not sad, just following quietly, hoping someone will walk her all the way home. The child who cried in the walls in a boarding house along the outskirts of Vigan, where the walls are thick and the windows narrow. There's one room that always feels damp, the kind of damp that clings to the skin like breath. The owner says it's just the weather, but the boarders know it's not. They call it the crying room, not because of what happens outside, but because of what they hear inside. The first to report it was Mariel, a nursing student who moved in during the rainy season. Her room was small, cold, cheap. She didn't mind the cracks or the stains, but she couldn't explain the crying. It began at 2 in the morning, soft, muffled, like someone pressing their face against a pillow. Then a pause, then a long inhale. Then the whimper of a child, not loud, not panicked, just steady, like someone crying who already knew no one would come. She pressed her ear to the wall, heard nothing, stepped away. And it returned. She thought it was her neighbor, asked around. But no one heard it, no one shared a wall with her one night. She placed her phone near the wall, set it to record, and left the room. When she returned and played it back, there was silence for the first few seconds. Then a voice, barely a whisper, "Help me please, it's too dark." She left that night, didn't even pack. The next boarder was John, a call center agent who worked night shifts, rarely home, always tired, until one night his shift was canceled, and he stayed in the room and heard the crying. He thought it was outside, checked the hallway, checked his phone. But the sound grew louder only when he sat still. He said he felt something moving inside the wall, not rats, not air, something slow, pressing like fingers dragging across the inside surface. He moved out without refund. The landlady never denied it, only warned new tenants to bring salt and to never knock back if they heard the crying. Some say a child died there years ago, not from illness, not from violence, just forgotten, left behind in the walls during a renovation, sealed by mistake. Her name unknown, her voice soft, her crying endless. Now anyone who stays in that room hears her, not every night, only when the wind is still and the walls breathe back. The child who played alone at night in a quiet barangay near Lucena. There's an old daycare center closed for over a decade. Vines cover the swing set, rust stains the slide. But inside, the lights sometimes flicker on even when no one is there. And those who live nearby say they hear laughter every night around midnight. They say the place closed after a fire started in one of the back rooms, not large, not destructive, but enough to fill the hallway with smoke. And when the teachers got the children out, one was missing. Her name was Ella, 4 years old, small voice, always holding a stuffed rabbit with one missing ear. The teachers searched the entire building, but no one found her, and the fire didn't touch the room where she had last been seen. After that, parents stopped enrolling their children. The doors were locked, the toys were left behind. And over time, everyone forgot everyone except her. Years later, Joel, a security guard for a nearby warehouse, walked past the daycare every night during rounds. One time, he heard a piano playing a few notes off key, then a giggle, then the sound of something being dragged across the wooden floor. He looked through the window, saw nothing but the curtains slowly swaying side to side. The next night, he left candy on the step as a joke. When he came back during his second round, it was gone, and in its place was a drawing in crayon, a stick figure with long black hair and round empty eyes, holding hands with a man wearing a hat just like his. He stopped laughing. Another night, it rained hard, thunder shaking the ground, and Joel took shelter at the covered walkway next to the daycare. He heard it again, the giggle. Then a voice right behind him. "I kept your candy." He turned, no one there, just the stuffed rabbit sitting at his feet, damp, cold, missing one ear. He left it there. But the next morning it was found in the warehouse beside his locker, and his name was written in red crayon across its back. He quit his job a week later. Now the daycare remains untouched, but children who pass by still wave at the window, saying they see someone waving back. She's always smiling, always holding the rabbit, and always waiting for someone to come in and play, even if playtime never ends.
If you enjoyed this terrifying story, let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button to help us bring more cursed tales and dark legends to life. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, but warn them first. And if you dare, subscribe to this channel, because here in Pinoy Phobia, the horror never ends. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next cursed story, spine-chilling folklore, or true paranormal encounter from the shadows of the Philippines. Remember, some stories are meant to be heard, but others are meant to be warnings. Thank you for watching, and remember, whatever happens, don't look back.